Welcome to Soul Cards and Connection. We are three everyday women who are here to dive into the mystical world of tarot, astrology, and intuition, and this is a safe space where we learn how to apply this knowledge to our everyday lives and create better connections with our soul and our community and share our wisdom with those who are on the same journey. Welcome. We're excited that you're here and trust that you've found us for a reason. I'm Rachel, and today we're doing something a little different. Next week, we will certainly join back in with our usual episode with the sevens, but for this week, we wanted to just take a short little break, wish all of the moms a beautiful, happy Mother's Day. We are all working parents on this podcast and wanted to give that back to our colleagues and those that work on this with us. And we hope that you all have something restful planned and something that fulfills your spirit and gives yourself a little bit of love and joy for the week. In the meantime, I hope to just give a little tips and tricks when first starting out tarot. I know we jumped into all of our episodes with learning how to read the cards, and while that is always a good practice, you might want to figure out how to choose your deck and how to get started. So here are just kind of a couple of things that came into my own experience in working with different cards and different decks. And so one of the things that I wanted to say that we have said over many of the episodes is that you need to be drawn to your deck. I want you to experience excitement when you see it and want to look through every single card and be amazed by the artwork that's in it and be responding towards it. Be that in excitement or in this kind of resistant way. Maybe there is something there for you. And one of the things that I found to be really useful when I first started was I wanted to learn all of the normal traditional aspects of the meanings of the cards. And so I picked up a normal standard Rider-Waite deck. And that's really something that I first took and learned every single card with all of the traditional imagery. And then I started to branch out and I selected decks that spoke to me in different ways. And the imagery maybe was a little bit similar to the original Rider-Waite, but it pulled me in a slightly different direction. And one of the things that I had heard in originally starting my practice was that you can find a deck to learn from and then find a deck that you can heal with. And what I mean by that is that you can have one that you find maybe in your daily pulls, just a way to connect with the meanings behind all of the imagery in the cards. And then there are other ways that you can take another deck and do more shadow work. And when you feel uncomfortable with something, bring that deck out and the imagery will then serve that purpose instead. So you don't always use the same deck for the same purposes. And that's, just like any book lover out there, which I definitely am, you can never have too many books, even if they're in the same kind of topic. Each one has a different flavor, and to be honest, it's nice, and I cycle through, and one of the things that works great with Jamie and April is that we all kind of trade decks, and if one deck isn't speaking to me, I'll be like, April, maybe this is your deck, and she'll be like, yes, this one, this hit the mark. So that's been fun. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was how to shuffle. I think one of the things that a lot of people who are starting to work with tarot is you have your normal card deck way that you have learned to shuffle, or I learned to shuffle when I was a young kid. And that's certainly fine. It certainly is one way of shuffling, and there is no right or wrong way to shuffle your cards. Some people don't like to have their cards bent, so that would be my only mark against the traditional blackjack dealer kind of shuffling. And the more common way, I think, for a lot of tarot readers is to hold the deck in one hand and to then gently overlap the cards with your other hand. And I started doing this method, and it works really well for me. Actually, it's something that allows me to tune into my body a little bit better. And as I'm shuffling the cards, I will meditate and close my eyes and feel when I need to start and stop. And so in that sense, it is a more intuitive process for me, and I appreciate having the trust in my body in order to make that shuffling process work. And that took time. If you don't feel like this method works for you, you can always just fan the cards out and then hover your hand over a card. I know that works well for a lot of people, and it's still a tried and true method that I use with reading with other people as well. So, this brings me to a really important point. When you are working with the cards, I would really encourage you to do so when you first start out shuffling, to do so slowly. What you're really looking for is the feeling of the energy in your hands as you're working with the cards. Definitely try to remove any pressure from trying to select a card early or feeling that you need to be rushed to select a card. Sit with your deck, and as you're overlapping the cards or fanning them out and you're hovering a hand or you're just playing with your cards in your lap, when you're trying to understand when to start or when to stop, feel that energy in your body. This is something that's key, that we all kind of have to slowly over a period of time go inward for ourselves. This is our intuitive process. This is what it means to become more self-aware and more aware of what your body tips and ticks are and how that works for you. So this took me a lot of time. And as I was, hovering over a card, I just felt this need to stop. And sometimes I would try to shuffle more and it wouldn't happen. And I was doing this slowly enough so that I could notice this within my body. And I think this is a really big tip for a lot of people, that they just suddenly are supposed to know all of the meanings for the cards and how to use them because it's popular or it's something that they saw on TikTok or whatnot. But if you're not slowly in an alignment first with yourself and your body and your intuitive process, when you are working with the cards, this is a part of that learning. This is a part of that journey. So you do so and be comfortable doing so slowly. Obviously, everyone is going to be different, and maybe an interesting point is try using your left hand. Maybe I've spent my entire life right-handed, although I lean more ambidextrous at this point, just from playing a variety of musical instruments. However, our left side of our body is more feminine. It's more intuitive. It is a part of, it's associated with that lunar energy, which is a part of our intuitive subconscious mindset. And so a lot of times maybe certain tells are going to be with your left hand instead of your right. And maybe that's something to switch it up for you if it hasn't been working. There's lots of ways of hovering your hands over and trying to, maybe you're looking at the fanning of the cards and notice where your eye goes first. Maybe that's something that directs you towards where you need to select the card. What our eyes are drawn to first is a very big sign of where we're trying, where our subconscious is trying to lead us immediately. So all of these things, it's a feeling, and that's something that gets stronger with you as you work with your practice and your method. And I encourage you to explore and just really have fun with it as well. I think that there's something, about shuffling your deck and cards flying out. That's always a fun thing to notice. Just as another tip and trick, if I'm shuffling just absentmindedly and genuinely a card just completely flips out of the deck, like it's usually a card that I need to see, and I stop and I pay attention to that. And that's where, this process can become really fun, and genuinely I'll have conversations, and all of a sudden a card will pop out and it'll be exactly a confirmation card for what I was just thinking. And it's in these moments that I think are truly magical. And it's like having a conversation with yourself, with your best friend, but really and truly your higher self and with spirit. And I hope that you guys feel that too. I think these are all really great tips and tricks, and I hope that you felt like this was helpful. It was something that we're trying to add in and provide, hopefully, more of these types of sessions to our Patreon community, and we are trying to get that set up for you. So stay tuned to next week when we will talk about the sevens, and we hope, again, you have a lovely weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day to any stepmothers out there, and all of those who are without their moms as well. We give you love and support in this community, and you are seen and you are heard and you are loved. On that note, I'd like to end our podcast as we always do with a collective breath in and out. So if you would join me, place your hands somewhere on your body. Obviously, if you're driving, please do so safely. And I would like for us to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And may you stay connected to yourself as you step back into your week.
If you love what you heard today, show us some love. Like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a little extra connection in their lives. Join the conversation and stay in the loop by following us along on Instagram at Soul Cards and Connection, and let us know your thoughts, questions, and stories. Soul Cards and Connection is brought to you by your hosts and executive producers, Jamie Parker Stickle, April Treadle, and Rachel Boozer, and is a production of Make That Paper Productions. A very special thanks to our producer, audio engineer, and editor, Jason Bieber, and of course, a huge shout out to our rockstar intern, Brian Guerra, for your invaluable contributions. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay connected. Bye for now.